starting off with the main character of Rick Deckard. Lloyd, who would you have cast in that role?
It would be Ryan Gosling, but Blade Runner 2049 was made, so we can't have him. So I've gone for Oscar Isaac.
Good call.
I think he'll be able to play it pretty well. He could be dry. He can be funny. Yeah, that's my choice.
Okay, Adam?
I had a choice of two. I was thinking slightly sort of darker side of Deckard would be Robert Pattinson, who's the new Batman. But ultimately, I have gone with somebody who I think currently is pretty much as close to Harrison Ford as possibly can be. And that's Sebastian Stan, who is the Winter Soldier.
Some people say he's closer to Mark Hamill than Harrison Ford.
I've seen that as the
rumours.
The current rumours of a remake. Yeah.
Okay, so
Dave,
moving on to my choice of Rick Deckard. I primarily cast this based on, I think, physical looks, age, ability to inhabit the role, presence. So I went for James Franco.
Yeah, good call.
Be an interesting choice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So moving on to Roy Batty, leader of the Replicants. Lloyd, who would you have cast?
I've gone a bit left field, and I've chosen someone who can inhabit the role, a credible actor, and a talented actor who can actually get across the speeches, the monologues, and still embody the character. And I reckon with a bit of sort of Linda Hamilton Terminator 2 training, could do the role as well, the physical role. So I've gone for Jodie Comer.
Oh, Brill from Killing Eve.
Yeah, from Killing Eve. I know Roy is a sort of hardcore killer and action person and jumping over things and lifting things, but I still think Jodie could do a fantastic job of doing it.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Adam, who's your choice?
I looked at, choosing a hard man or, somebody who's sort of known for their strength or stature. But then I was thinking that somebody that's sort of more European sounding, who's still a presence, not just from a physical perspective, but also from just the way they deliver themselves and they hold themselves. So I went with Mads Mikkelsen. I think
cool.
that
Yeah.
not just being a Bond bad guy, but also his role playing Hannibal Lecter in the TV series. He was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, spot. I had him. I had him at one point as well. It's a good choice. Dave?
So my choice for Roy Batty, I was thinking about the kind of tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, kind of acting ability. So I went for Paul Bettany, who
that's good.
I think it was based slightly on, he was in a movie back in the 90s, 2000s called Gangster Number One.
Gangster Number One, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of him playing many other villains, but I just remember him in that being really, really convincing as a villain. So I think that was part of it as well.
Yeah, I think he was in a couple of films like Legion and Priest as well, where he played kind of dark characters. So yeah, that's good.
He was also in what's that? The Da Vinci Code. He played like a priest in that, didn't
he? Yeah.
Where he's kind of like really light skinned and like
self-flagellating.
That might have had something to do. Yeah. Okay, so the next one we're going to talk about is Pris, played by Daryl Hannah in the original movie. Lloyd?
I think I've gone for the obvious choice, and I'll be surprised if you've got anything different, because she is, Pris is the pleasure model, but sort of a gymnast and can move around and still like pretty bloody tough. So I've gone for the proper sort of good-looking, blonde, mainstream actress of the moment that can still pack a punch, because she plays a few roles that pack a punch at the moment. And so I've gone for Margot Robbie.
All right, okay.
Which I thought, I felt bad doing it because it feels like it's the obvious choice. I could see her with the black spray paint across, which is probably Suicide Squad, through and through, isn't it? So, Yeah, I did feel it was a bit of an indulgent choice, but yeah, that was
Well,
mine. I
I,
did struggle with. I struggled with it as well. But yeah, Margot Robbie.
I had somewhere in my head that because I think of Pris as kind of a tall, angular, gymnastic type character. I was thinking of somebody tall or somebody who gives off that kind of prowess. So I was looking at Elizabeth Debicki at first from Widows, and also the person I actually ended up settling on, although it was a choice between the two, was Gemma Arterton. I think she'd do a really good job as being.
Is she tall?
Pris.
How tall is Gemma Arterton?
I don't know, but there's just something about her that I just think would match that role. Probably turn out that she's 5'3".
Yeah.
But yeah, just I think maybe it was how she was in the Bond movie, where she was impressive in that kind of. I don't know. I just think she'd be a good Pris.
Yeah.
Okay. So for my choice, maybe obvious, maybe not. Daryl Hannah, Amazonian, kind of Kill Bill. You've got Daryl Hannah, you've got Uma Thurman. You know I'm a fan of Uma Thurman. Uma Thurman, though, obviously is way too old now.
Does she have a restraining order against you, Dave? Stop writing me letters.
I think it's about to expire relatively soon. So obviously Uma Thurman
turns up dead in a week's time.
Uma Thurman obviously too old to play that character now, but fortunately Uma Thurman has got a daughter called Maya Hawke, who's also in Stranger Things, and she's got the kind of height. For me, Pris I find it a relatively awkward character in the way that Daryl Hannah plays it. Coy, maybe part of that is put on due to the kind of relationship that she needs to have with Jeff Sebastian. But yeah, I thought Maya Hawke would be quite a good choice in that role.
Yeah, I like that.
Good.
That's cool.
So we're going to move on to Tyrell now. So Lloyd, who did you choose?
Right. I had as a sort of left field one, Lee Evans, the comedian, because I saw him in those classes. If he could do a half decent job of acting, I thought he'd pull it off quite well. But then anyway, discounted him. Went for another British actor and went for Daniel Craig. I thought he could, he could deliver the role quite well. I think he'd be. I don't know. It was just an interesting thought I had when I pictured him more and more as Tyrell. He had to have the glasses on though to make it work. I just thought,
look like Elton John.
Yeah, I know we'd have to have Thingy then, wouldn't we? What's his name?
Taron Egerton.
Yeah, I did think what role I considered him for something.
I thought about
recently.
Taron Egerton at one point as well.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So Daniel Craig for Tyrell.
See, I struggled a bit. Yeah, I struggled a bit on this. I think he was my most difficult choice, and I think a lot of that was framed by the fact that Jared Leto is Wallace in the remake, sort of standing on the shoulders of Tyrell. So it made me wonder about what age Tyrell would be on a remake. I think Hollywood probably would have him younger than he was in the original.
If they want the replicant thread as well, they would have it that way, wouldn't they?
They'd probably be able to. That now with more budget.
Yeah, so I think if I was choosing somebody younger, I'd choose Rami Malek. But then I was thinking, no, actually, I would still keep somebody a bit older. I thought Steve Buscemi in terms of looks, but I didn't think he'd have the right feel. So I ended up settling on Willem Dafoe because I think that he's got that kind of steeliness and could definitely carry the role off without being too overpowering as a character. Yeah. Somebody that Roy would be able to quite easily physically overcome at the same time as being, that intellectual.
Yeah, I like that.
Funny, I thought of him as well. Funny how we all kind of go through the same kind of list of actors.
Yeah. What's yours, Dave?
I think my choice, it's probably not too dissimilar to yours, Adam. It was more kind of like a feel, an aura. Probably about the right age as well, I think. Just thought he could bring a power, some kind of power to the role. So I went for Gary Oldman.
Oh, great. Yeah.
I see that.
I could see him being good.
Yeah. I like that.
So
Gary Oldman from Leon or Gary Oldman from
The
Fifth
Dark
Element?
Knight.
Just Gary Oldman. If everyone turns up on set, we'll have him.
Okay.
Or his sister from EastEnders.
EastEnders, yeah.
We'll have a Big
Her
Mo
name?
or Old Mo.
Leela something.
Limo.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Lilo.
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 Okay, so the final role that we're going to recast is the role of Rachel, which I personally found probably the hardest one to do. I don't know how you two felt. So, Lloyd?
I had a couple for Rachel, and I decided on Saoirse Ronan.
Oh, nice. Yeah, good call.
I think she could provide whatever look we were going for with Rachel. She's a really accomplished actress now. She's done a lot of things, even from when she was very young. She's been a brilliant actor. She could play it more sort of subdued, more of like the classic Rachel, the Sean Young Rachel, or we could up it a bit. She's got that range and that broadness of both skill in acting and look as well. So I think I've knocked it out of the park with that one. To say the truth,
it's not a bad choice. I think the difficulty I have, and I assume from having chats with Dave about this previous film so many times, is Alicia Vikander in Ex Machina.
Yeah,
was so good in that role, and that's such a good film that the idea of an attractive replicant that has been developed beyond the other previous replicants, she would be sort of perfect. The only problem is obviously that she's already that character in Ex Machina, so she's
and that character was
discounted.
probably influenced a little bit by Rachel.
Yeah,
exactly, absolutely. I looked at who would work well with my decades of Sebastian Stan. Maybe I thought too long and hard about that kind of styling, Marvel styling.
Emily Van Camp. She got full.
Well, I looked at Tessa Thompson at one point, but I think perhaps she doesn't have the. Well, I know we haven't seen her in everything, and she's probably got much greater range. But the sort of the vulnerability of Rachel, I think, possibly means that I've moved away from her. But somebody I've been watching in The Queen's Gambit, you mentioned it earlier, Lloyd, Anya Taylor-Joy. I just think she's absolutely astounding actress. And I think that she would cover all the bases and be very good against my other cast members. So I would say Anya Taylor-Joy.
That's good. Spot on that. Dave?
Okay, so my choice of Rachel is probably based almost entirely on physical appearance. I was
Jennifer Aniston.
That's Courtney Cox. I was looking for someone that's got that kind of classical beauty kind of look. I think, as I said, I really did struggle with it. In the end, I went for Lily Collins. I'm not sure if you know Lily Collins is, but it was just a kind of comparison, I suppose, between Sean Young and the way she looked and that kind of classical beauty thing, as I said.
Yeah, I can see that.
Great
I don't know
choices.
about her acting range. I haven't seen her in enough things to know if she could really portray Rachel to the level which it deserves. But yeah, certainly styling-wise, yeah, spot on.
Okay. So as I mentioned at the start of the segment, we're going to be running some polls on Twitter for which of our choices you prefer. So get on Twitter, let us know what you think. Alternatively, leave comments on YouTube for us. Let us know what you think of our choices and who you would have cast in those roles.